Hello, Dave. Yeah, it's me. Yeah, all right. Yeah, well, I'm just wondering if you can help me with something. Actually, yeah, it's about last night. Yeah, I know. Sorry. Um, you didn't see me spend a £50 note, did you? Yeah. Go on. Yeah, the new barmaid. Yeah, the really big one. Yeah, I did what? I told her she had a lovely smile. I gave her a £50 tip. Well, thank God for that. I thought I'd lost it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fragrance Review number 4. So, today we're going to be looking at Valentino Uomo by Valentino. So, this one was first released in the year 2014. Its designation is a leather fragrance according to Fragrantica. The price for this one, for 50 mils, we're looking at £47 in the UK. 100 mils is going to be £64.50 retail price, and 150 mils will be £85. You can get this one discounted quite significantly if you shop around those, so you don't have to pay that much really, but those are the retail prices. Okay, so the perfumier for this one is really interesting because it's Olivier Polge. Now, he's pretty famous. He's done some really good stuff, including the near legendary Dior Homme. He was also responsible for Dolce & Gabbana's The One, Midnight in Paris by Van Cleef & Arpels, which is a really popular fragrance in the fragrance community, and he also did Victor & Rolf's Spice Bomb, which I'm personally not quite so keen on, perhaps because I'm a bit put off by the fact that it comes in a bottle shaped by like a hand grenade, which I don't think that doesn't seem too stylish to me, but that's just my humble personal opinion. Perhaps I haven't given the fragrance a fair chance. Now, moving on to today's fragrance in Valentino Uomo. So let's have a look at the packaging first. I need to grab the box. Here it is. So nothing special about the box, but it looks okay. I've got the 50ml version here. It's quite a nice box. There's not much information and not much to say about that one. Now the bottle itself, let's have a look at that. Well, this one's rather lovely actually, I think. It does come with this slightly funny cap thing because it doesn't have a normal lid of any kind, so that's just to protect it if you're traveling with it or something, so you don't squirt it by accident. So I would say for display purposes, you definitely want to get rid of that. Doesn't look very nice, but the rest of the bottle like that, absolutely beautiful. It's glass with this kind of textured dimpled effect, and it just says Valentino with a gold metal thing there. Really nice bottle. Some people think it looks a bit cheesy, or like it belongs on Liberace's dresser or something, and I kind of agree that it wouldn't belong there, but I like that. It's very attractive. It looks like it could be a woman's perfume, I know, but I don't care. It just looks really attractive, if a little daring. Like it. Really good presentation. So that's the presentation out of the way. Let's move on. Okay, so the top notes for this fragrance, we have bergamot and myrtle. Okay, the mid notes, now we've got roasted coffee beans, chocolate, and hazelnut. Also, that's sometimes summarized as an attempt to smell like Gianduja cream, which is a Nutella-like cream made in Italy. Okay, so that's your base, your middle note. The base note, or base notes, we have leather and cedarwood. So this is very different to the other three fragrances that I've reviewed so far. They've all had an element of kind of freshness, barbershop feel, that kind of thing. This is in a different category altogether. It's going to be a warm, smoky, leathery, maybe even slightly gourmandish type of fragrance. One of the notes that intrigued me a little bit, because I'd never heard of it, was myrtle. So I looked it up a little bit on the internet, and myrtle is an evergreen shrub that has some nice flowers that go with it, and the smell of that is described as camphorous and peppery and green, a little bit like bay leaves, in fact. So that gives you some idea. So those are the notes on it. Let's talk about now the background a little bit more on this one before we talk about how it actually smells. So the advert for this one had the French actor Louis Garrel in a rather interesting kind of mini movie type scenario, which really kind of makes the fragrance look quite chic and glamorous, and conjures up some kind of wonderful lifestyle of somebody in Italy in about the early 1960s or something like that. So that was quite interesting. and I just wasn't too clued up on the Valentino company. They don't have a whole lot of fragrances, and I think this is only their men's one, so I looked into that a little bit more just to give people a bit more background. And the full name of this gentleman is Valentino Clemente Ludovico Garavaglia. I'll get back to you on that one. Yeah, so he's got a very long name, but it's normally shortened to Valentino. He's been around a long time. He was born in 1932, and he's lived a rather colourful and interesting life. If you want to look that one up, he's rather dashing-looking, striking-looking gentleman. So, interesting chap, and I'm certainly interested to try a fragrance from his house. So, how does it smell? Got a little bit here that I sprayed on earlier. Well, my first thing that I can say is I just don't really know what it smells like. It doesn't smell like many of my other fragrances. I'm not terribly experienced in notes. So I'm like, I don't know what this smells like, but I think I really like it. It smells really interesting. Let's try and get a little bit more descriptive for you than that, though. Here we go. Let's spray a bit more. Okay. Usual kind of alcohol blast to start with. Okay, yeah, there is bergamot in this. It seems that all fragrances seem to have bergamot, not quite, but it's a very ubiquitous note in men's fragrances. So you do get a little brief blast of freshness, but that is really deceiving. That's not going to be the story with this one. There's something nutty there. It's nutty and it's sweet. There could be a bit of creamy chocolateness in there. Yep, I get that. It smells quite enticing, potentially quite sexy. I think it's that kind of. It smells a little bit delicious. I think if you were wearing it, you might feel delicious. So it's pretty nice. It conjures up an image with the opening here of maybe a young Italian man, well dressed, not necessarily older, maybe younger, like to mid-20s, early 20s, a rather stylish, dashing man. There's a bit of a maybe a leathery note in there, just a little subtle one. Not an offensive kind of leather, but a very smooth, sweet kind of leather, and a bit of woodiness starting to come through, and that's going to get more and more so in the dry down. People talk with this one about the similarity with Dior Homme, and some people aren't very impressed with this fragrance because they think it's just a rather unoriginal variation on the Dior Homme theme, especially as it was done by the same perfumier. To me, yes, there's an element of similarity, but I think there's lots of things here going on that are completely different. I don't think there's a hazelnut or chocolate kind of stuff, certainly not hazelnut in Dior Homme. So I think there's quite enough different stuff here, but yes, there is that a little bit of that famous lipstick, iris, crayon kind of note that we get with Dior Homme, and indeed Dior Homme Intense. So if you like that, but you're looking for something a little bit different, this is worth investigating. I'm not sure why it is that kind of lipsticky note would be an effective or attractive ingredient in a men's fragrance. Is it a kind of Freudian thing that we think back to looking in our mum's handbag, or playing around with our mum's lipstick and stuff when she wasn't looking when we were kids? And is it perhaps that makes us find this an attractive scent? I don't know. But it certainly does really work. So we've got a really smooth, sexy, delicious, enticing kind of scent here. And it's rather good. Now the dry down on this one, it sticks around quite a long time. It develops more along the woody kind of line, and the sweetness does stay throughout. So you've got a sweet, woody dry down. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's an out and out gourmand, but it's not one of these citrusy fresh scents either. So it's a very a little bit of a food-like kind of smell, but it's woody, it's dry. I think it's masculine, but a woman could wear it, but it smells really good. It smells a little bit different, and I'd feel very comfortable wearing it in a lot of situations, which brings me on to the next part of the video. So occasions, who, when, and where. I think this one, unlike most of my other reviews so far, which have been fragrances leaning towards older people, this one could be more or less any age. If you're old enough to wear fragrances, you're probably going to be old enough to wear this. Maybe not really young 18, 19, 20-year-old people, but once you're getting into your 20s a bit, you should be able to pull this off no problem, because it is a very modern smelling scent, I think. Now then, I think maybe it's not for people over about 50. It might start smelling just a little bit inappropriate somehow. I think you can wear it in your 30s up to 40s and into that a little bit, but maybe if you get 50, 55, 60 and upwards, just maybe you might not think that this is for you so much. It's a little bit playful with that kind of nutty, sweet element to it. But of course, this is, anyone can wear anything they want. Now, when would you want to wear this? I've been thinking about this one a lot. I think that this would be okay for work. I think you could wear this to work. It's not very loud. The projection is okay. The longevity is good, but it's not shouting, and I think you could get away with it at work, okay? Other occasions, well, it's really versatile. I think you can just wear it in the daytime when you're out doing things that you enjoy. You know, if you just went for a day out in the country or something like that, then I think this one could work really well for those kind of situations. If you went out to an event or something in the daytime, maybe you went to a football match, took your kids to a football match, this would be a really fun one to have on. If you went out for a quiet drink in the pub with your friends, you could wear this. It's really appropriate for many occasions. Absolutely appropriate for that big date with that special person. I think this could be a really nice fragrance for that because it's not too in your face. It doesn't push out there, but when someone gets close to you, they're going to get a whiff of something quite sophisticated and interesting. So I think it's a very versatile fragrance, and I think as long as you're happy with that kind of sweet, nutty feel, you don't feel uncomfortable with that, you don't feel it's too effeminate for you, then it really could be one that you could use for many, many situations. I haven't worn this tons. I'll admit that, isn't it? Most of it's still there. I've got other fragrances that seem to be more up my alley, and this one's a little bit outside my comfort zone, but I'm really holding on to it and trying it out, and by doing this review I'm going to think about this fragrance a little bit more. That's one of the reasons I do the reviews. It helps me actually think about my collection and maybe remember that there are really good things about ones that I haven't given a lot of attention to so far. So, to summarise, Valentino Uomo. It's a nutty, sweet, smoky, leathery fragrance. It's rather chic, rather elegant. I like the idea of being able to say I'm wearing Valentino Uomo. Sounds a little bit unusual. And so I rather like it, but I haven't quite made my mind up. I'd love to hear other people's opinions about what you think about it. My overall rating, I'm going to go with a 7.5 out of 10, which I mean to be a good complimentary mark, but I'm not quite sure exactly how I feel about it overall. It's certainly something a bit different in my collection. I've got Dior on Intense too, but I don't think this is a redundant purchase alongside that. I think they're pretty different. That's much more a nighttime fragrance, whereas this time's an anytime you like fragrance. So I really have enjoyed smelling this fragrance. I'm going to keep smelling it a little bit more, thinking about it more, and I'd love to hear other people's thoughts on this one. Thank you everybody for joining me. It's been a real pleasure to do these reviews so far, and I thank everyone who's made a comment. Please like and subscribe, and remember, if anyone tells you they don't like the fragrance you're wearing, you know what to say to them. Suck my sillage. Good night.